So in the last lecture, you learned about the query first approach to update a document. This approach is useful if you receive an input from the client and you want to make sure that the update is a valid operation. For example, here we can have a business rule. So if the course is published, maybe we should not be allowed to change its author. To implement this business rule, we need to retrieve the course first. And then we need to write some logic like this. So if course is published, we want to return. We don't want to update this course. So that's when we use the query first approach. But sometimes you know what you're doing. You're not receiving an input from the client. You just want to update a document or perhaps multiple documents directly in the database. And that's what I'm going to show you in this lecture. So instead of using the find by ID method, we use the update method. Now, the first argument here is a query or a filter object. So we can get the course with this ID. Or we can pass something more generic. We can get all the courses that are not published. So with this, we can update multiple documents in one go. Now in this demo, we want to update a course with a particular ID. So I'm going to change this to underline ID and set this to this ID argument. Now the second argument in the update method is the update object. Now here we need to use one or more of the MongoDB update operators. So if you search for MongoDB update operators on this page, you can find the list of all the supported operators. So we have current date to set the value of a field to the current date. We have inc or increment. This is very powerful. With this, we can increment the value of a field by the specified amount. Imagine you want to build an application like Facebook. So when the user likes a post, you want to increment the number of likes. With this operator, you can increment the number of likes directly in the database. You don't have to retrieve the post first, then increment the number of likes. We can also pass a negative value to decrement the value of a field. We have min, which is useful if you want to update a field if the specified value is less than the existing field value. We have another similar operator, and with this we can update a field if the specified value is greater than the existing field value. We have mul or multiply, which is kind of similar to increment, but with this we can multiply the value of a field by the specified amount. We have rename to rename a field. We have set, which I'm going to show you in this lecture. And with this, we can set the value of a field. And similar to this, we have unset, which we can use to remove the specified field from a document. So back here in our update object, I'm going to use the set operator. We set this to an object. And in this object, we add one or more key value pairs. So let's say we want to update the author property, set it to Mosh, and we want to set is published to false. So with this update method, we can update a document directly in the database without retrieving it first. Now what we get here is the result of the update operation, not a course object. So let's rename this to result. Now we don't have to check for the existence of a course. We don't have to update the properties here, and we don't have to save it explicitly. Okay? Very simple. So let's go back in the terminal and run our application again. So you can see here in the result object, we have modified one document. And here's this document in our MongoDB database. So author is set to Mosh, and is published is set to false. Beautiful. Now, sometimes you want to get the document that was updated. If that's the case, instead of the update method, you need to use find by ID and update. So here as the first argument, we need to pass an ID instead of a query object. And similarly, as the second argument, we pass our update object. Now what we get here is a course object. So let's rename this to course. I'm going to change the author to Jack and is published to true. Let's run this program and see what happens. So node index.js. All right, here's the course document that we updated. However, look, the author is still Mosh and is published is false. So what we get here is the original document. That is the document before the update operation. If you want to get the updated document, you need to pass an option. So back here, we need to pass another argument to this method. Here, pass an object and set the new property to true. And with this, we'll get the updated document. So I'm going to set the author to JSON and is published to false. Back in the terminal, let's run the application again. Okay, look, author is JSON and is published is false. So with this method, you will send one command to MongoDB to update a document and return it. Next, I'm going to show you how to remove a document.